Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kathleen Tian. I'm the Vice Chancellor for Enrollment Management here at UMass Boston. And I'd like to welcome all of you to our Fall 2010 Convocation. This is a significant day in the life of UMass Boston, and I'm pleased that you're here with us to be part of this important event. Our Fall Convocation sets the stage for our success throughout the next year. As many of you know, we have a very exciting year ahead of us. We'd like to begin the program by inviting Katrina Williams, who is a senior and a music major here at UMass Boston, to sing our national anthem. Please rise. Thank you very much, Katrina. That was beautiful. Today's speaking program will begin with updates on the university from our Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, Ellen O'Connor, and Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, Winston Langley. Their remarks will be followed by greetings from the University of Massachusetts President, Jack Wilson, and then our Chancellor, J. Keith Motley, will deliver the convocation address. 3 outstanding UMass Boston students have been selected to introduce these members of our administration. Please join me in welcoming the first to the podium, Graduate Student Assembly President, Samir Tandon.
Thank you, Kathy. Good morning, faculty, staff, students, guests, and the rest of the UMass Boston family. As the newly elected president of Graduate Student Assembly, I, Samir Tandon, would like to welcome you all to the 2010 Fall Convocation of University of Massachusetts, Boston. It's both a great privilege and honor for me to be a part of this august gathering. Looking back, when I arrived at UMass Boston after a long transatlantic flight, I was exhausted, but also excited to attend the orientation the next day and experience in person what I had seen on UMass brochures and university website. It did not take me long to make friends from diverse backgrounds. UMass gave me the opportunity to participate in a wide range of activities and clubs. Moreover, within the last year, I have seen huge transformation take place on our campus. Thanks to the leadership and administration at UMass, we are now seeing new plans and changes that will expand and further improve our great campus. Moreover, I'm glad to be a part of UMass community at such a fascinating time and eagerly look forward to this academic year. As a UMass student who has had the chance to follow our progress, I have seen diligence and commitment of our dedicated staff, especially the Administration and Finance Department. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome on stage the Vice Chancellor of Administration and Finance, who has been crucial to the operation and growth of UMass Boston. Please put your hands together for Ellen O'Connor, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Samir, for your very kind introduction. Good morning, President Wilson, Chancellor Motley, distinguished guests, students, members of the faculty and staff, and my fellow colleagues. Let me tell you a few of the significant efforts underway in administration and finance to support you and your work here at UMass Boston, whether you are a member of the class of 2014, a tenured faculty member, or a staff member. The UMass Boston campus is experiencing tremendous growth in many areas, including enrollment, faculty research, tenured faculty positions, and our Capitol building. These are very exciting times at UMass. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. Work has recently been completed on a classroom located at the Massachusetts Archives and Commonwealth Museum, just 100 yards from here. Our inventory of classrooms now has an additional 100-person classroom that features technology comparable to the classrooms in our academic buildings and also new furniture. This is an exciting opportunity that provides us with additional classroom space, and there are a number of courses that will be held here this fall. I encourage you to consider using this classroom in the future. In addition to space, of course, we are working on building our relationships to better connect the Archives and Commonwealth Museum and all of its offerings with our UMass Boston programs. We're also progressing in our environmental commitments through an important campus greening project. Shortly, you will see solar panels installed in the roof of the Clark Athletic Center ice rink. These panels, referred to as photovoltaic cells, are expected to produce more than 90,000 kilowatts of electricity annually for use on our campus, and we expect to have a savings of about $10,000 a year as a result of this work. This project is funded by Clean Renewable Energy Bonds, that's a Commonwealth project, and the American Recovery and Reinvestment Funds, ARA, also provided by the Commonwealth and the federal government. We're told that our location is ideal because of the extensive amount of sunlight that we get. This is just the beginning of our greening efforts. Later this September, you'll notice several construction projects. We're creating new accessible restrooms at the catwalk level. This might be a homely thing to talk about, but I think it's a quite important one. 3 new fully accessible restrooms and 7 existing ones will be made fully accessible. Another 18 restrooms will receive accessibility improvements as well. These projects will be completed by the beginning of the spring semester. Imagine clean, new, accessible bathrooms. Now to describe some projects which will begin soon, but you will mostly experience it by putting mud on your shoes. Yes, we are beginning steps to build our new integrated sciences complex, General Academic Building Number 1, as well as the Campus Utility Corridor and Roadway Project. All of this will be underway while the students sitting in front of me are here in school. The Integrated Sciences Complex is the first new academic building since the campus moved to this waterfront location in 1974. It'll be a catalyst for cutting-edge laboratory research, training, and teaching. The building will sit on our practice soccer field. The preliminary work is already being done to prepare the site. We're pleased to let you know that we are completing the design with the assistance of Goody Clancy, they're the architects, as well as the construction firm has been selected, Walsh Brothers. That's a very savvy higher ed firm, and they have built many buildings in the Boston academic area. Construction on the building will begin in the spring of 2011. Now, planning for academic building number 1 is also underway. In collaboration with the UMass Building Authority, We've published an RFP, and last week we had a bidders conference. The 20 top architectural firms in Boston and many sub-consultants attended this bidding conference. Over 100 people were at it. They walked the campus. A contract will be awarded to the strongest and most competitive firm by the end of this calendar year, and the detailed planning will begin in 2011, early 2011. State-of-the-art classrooms, specialized teaching spaces, and new homes for several academic programs will be in this building. And our goal is to offer all students at least one class in this new building. Finally, we're working with the UMass Building Authority to select a design team to do the study and design for the campus utility corridor and roadway project. What the heck is that? It's the relocation of the campus utilities, which you know are hanging from the ceiling of the upper level in the substructure. We're moving them to a new corridor that will be at grade and below grade. This is going to allow us to demolish the substructure and to create a central quadrangle, a green space. That green space is going to be the size of the historic Harvard Yard. This is going to be a core element of the campus master plan design, and it will open our campus to the waterfront and provide us with much needed green space. You're probably wondering what life will be like on the campus with all of this construction. Well, we understand that, and we'll do promise that it will be somewhat disruptive and perhaps even frustrating. We will work hard to keep that frustration to a minimum. We'll create a quality of life and mitigation advisory committee. We're examining what other schools have done during their major construction, and we will learn from them. The committee, which will be comprised of students, faculty, and staff, will be established to advise us on how to live through this construction. I invite you to check out our website to learn more about the master plan. I have to spend a little time talking about the budget. As you know, UMass Boston is not immune or exempt from dealing with difficult economic times. FY11, that is the budget year that was supposed to have started last July 1st, has been a significant challenge. It's been so challenging that we kept FY10 going for July, August, and September. Shortly, we will be announcing a budget that will be balanced in FY11, and it will also protect our academic core, advance key initiatives, support our strategic goals, and avoid layoffs, furloughs, and other major impacts to faculty and staff. With our challenging budget situation, in addition to our response to the growth, it makes sense for us to look at all of our administrative and financial functions to help us be assured that we have the very best practices in the operation of financial and administrative systems at UMass Boston. We must be assured that our methods of doing business are as good as they need to be to support our aspirations. This is especially important now. We will make this review a participatory process. We will welcome your input and ideas as we review all the administration and finance systems. Please stay tuned for further information on this topic. I'll finish up by telling you a little about the recruitment of our new Assistant Vice Chancellor for Human Resources. You know that Jack Wilson stole Mark Preble up to the President's office, and we don't blame him because he's a crackerjack, but now we're going to look for a replacement. One of the goals of the new Assistant Vice Chancellor will be to work to streamline HR operations. For example, we've recently taken one step in this direction with the creation of the HR business partners. Now departments can go to one person in HR to receive all their HR-related information, recruitment, benefits, compensation. In 11, we will also be working on expanding training and professional development opportunities in addition to streamlining operations. The Division of Administration and Finance is made up of nearly 200 dedicated staff members, and I am grateful to each and every one of them for their hard work and dedication to UMass Boston. We stand in A&F committed to the success of our campus, and we do this by ensuring openness, transparency, and a strong service ethic. These are very exciting times for us here at UMass Boston. We are growing, we are working hard to get better at what we do, and of course we are committed to making significant physical improvements to our great campus. I invite you to learn more about us by looking us up on the website. Welcome back, and thank you.
So now I have the distinct, albeit surprising, responsibility to introduce our next speaker. Most unfortunately, Neil McInnes Barker, our undergraduate student senate president, is stuck on 93. And I think when he arrives here after 9:30, he'll probably be parking in Lot X. So he'll have a little bit of a hike to the campus. Nevertheless, I've been a friend and colleague, I think. He has been a friend and colleague to me, at any rate, of Winston Langley for the number of years that I've been here at UMass Boston. He has most recently become our provost and has now served in that role for 2 years. Prior to that, he was associate provost working with the last administration, and he is a long-time faculty member at UMass Boston in political science. In these last few years, Winston has been focused greatly on developing new undergraduate and graduate programs for our students, expanding our global perspectives in enrollment, in academic affairs, and in student affairs, and very actively engaged in the planning for our new buildings and the development of UMass Boston into the future. So I think Neil McInnes may have had a little bit more to say, but most of you do know our provost, Winston Langley, so let that stand, and I will invite him to the podium now for his remarks.
Thank you, Kathy. Good morning to all, and welcome to our convocation event for the fall. Special welcome to President Wilson and Dr. Ferguson. And of course, we should say something about the Chancellor being here. As Provost, I am supposed to say two things to you today. To say something about the academic health of the campus community and briefly indicate some directions for the future. We had a good year and would have had even a better one were we not faced with the financial crisis that has occasioned severe, sometimes fundamental limitations on some of what we would have attempted. Whether one looks, however, in the area of faculty development, recruitment of new faculty, growth in the number and quality of programs, achievements of our students, increases in extramural funding, organizational reshaping and realignments, institutional collaboration, the number and range of degrees conferred, results of program assessments, the character of intellectual life of the campus, or strategic planning, we realized some commendable successes. In the area of strategic planning, we completed the first phase of a new plan. It is to operate under a vision that imagines the campus in 2025, having, among other things, a student population in excess of 20,000 and enjoying a Carnegie classification of high research standing with extramural funding between $150 to $300 million. It also envisions a university devoted to civic engagement, and deeply committed to supporting the economic development of the Commonwealth, the region, the country, and the world, and one equally pledged to the traditional concerns of quality, relevance, diversity, affordability, accessibility, and a sound, what we call co-curricular group of programs. Above and beyond all, the university is committed to help remove a culture of fragmentation, one which focuses on molecules, cells, tissues, and organs with little emphasis on the body, one which is preoccupied with personal, social, national security and little concerned about human security, one which looks at farm, high-tech, the state's national and international economy, but with little care for the Earth's economy, even failing to see that the human economy is a subsystem of the Earth economy, not the other way around. And one which mistakenly sees civilization, the summit of cultural achievement, in terms of our technical capacity to distance ourselves from nature, even liberating ourselves from it. We want to produce students, and through them societies, whose reflective intelligence allows them to speak of molecules and the body, who see the social and national security as embedded in the human security, who find no conflict between civilization and nature, indeed, who is conscious that civilization is rooted in nature, with all our joys and sorrows and anger and delights and surprises. One who sees citizenship in the university, the Commonwealth, the nation, and the world as not incompatible, who understands that human economy is a subsystem of the Earth economy, and whose grammatical structure and his or her sentence finds companionship with the larger narratives of human history. As part of the fight against fragmentation, we also seek the help of students and professors and staff who grapple with the fact that our knowledge, our concepts, our theories, and our theorizing are but platforms of conditional understandings waiting for our own contributions. We seek your individual and collective support for the university we envision. Welcome back for a new semester, a new year. Thank you.
Hello, and good morning to you all. My name is Stacia Lambert, student trustee, representative of the University of Massachusetts Boston to the University Board of Trustees. It's a great pleasure to finally be able to introduce myself formally to you all, the UMass, members of the UMass community, many of you whom I've worked with over the years and who I've received a great deal of support from, and for that I have to thank you. That's certainly why I'm standing up here today. And I look forward to this upcoming year in which I'll be able to have even more enriching experiences and interactions with you all beyond this podium. This morning, I'm here to introduce you all to someone who has been an asset to the University of Massachusetts since his service began in 2003. He has been a key voice in advancing the idea that UMass, as a system of public universities, is a critical contributor to the state's cultural and economic success. He's also motivated the larger task of making that idea a reality in overseeing the university's many developments and investments. Such efforts have yielded concrete results, as we've seen in higher student enrollment, increased performance, and the university's participation in groundbreaking and foregrounding research. UMass is now third in the states, behind Harvard and MIT in external research funding. And finally, we've also seen the development and expansion of a body of quality staff and faculty who are similarly engaged in the life of the university and the critical projects that have brought us to the fore of research in the state. This has been achieved over years which were at times trying. As a state university, we are uniquely vulnerable to the ebbs and flows of state economics and politics. but certainly hardly ever a year passes without a great number of successes to speak of, both on a system-wide scale and individual experiences, which I'm sure you're all familiar with and have a lot of great personal stories to share about that. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our president, Jack Wilson.
Thank you, Trustee Lampert. And what I'm most excited about and most proud of are the fantastic students that we have that are coming to UMass Boston and to the entire UMass system. And you've seen a couple examples of that today. That's why all of us out here come to work every day. It's for the fantastic students. But Chancellor, Provost, Trustee Lambert, Mr. President, honored guests, students, faculty, and staff, it is a delight to be here with you this morning. And let me be the first to wish you Happy New Year. What do you mean, Happy New Year, Wilson? Well, for 41 years, I've been a professor in higher education. And to me, the beginning of the new academic year is more of a new year than January 1st ever will be, as new groups of students come back. And so it's really wonderful to see this new year start again with great students coming back, an outstanding faculty that are waiting, looking forward to meeting that new group of students and the existing group of students. And when you want to feel energy, when you want to feel intensity, when you want to feel commitment, you come right here to UMass Boston. Because when you're here, you know that this is a university where something special is going on. And you know, I do have a system that I work for that has 5 campuses, and I love them all dearly. Everyone is special in its own way. Everyone is special in its own way. Boston is very special for its focus, its students, and its important mission. Because at UMass Boston, we see the city, which actually, literally, we see the city right behind us, the Commonwealth and the nation that we are and that we are becoming. We see a place where people born in Dorchester and West Roxbury come to learn and study with those born in Africa and Asia, where young students learn from older students, and older students learn from younger students. And hopefully those older students get a little hipper in the process. It's a place where hopes and dreams are converted into tangible realities. And that's why I'm so pleased. Our Board of Trustees is so pleased. And everyone who cares about our shared future is pleased when you see the conspicuous signs of success that are to be glimpsed on this campus. Dramatically increased student enrollment, rising retention rates, a growing honors program, faculty research funding going up. All of these are more than goals, they're a reality at UMass Boston. A master plan that we just heard about that envisions superb new facilities, very exciting. Also a little bit challenging, as you suggested, in terms of navigating through that, but creating facilities for the next group of students to come in a future new year. The brilliant decision to provide space for the future at Bayside Expo Center and an Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the United States Senate that honors a man who loved this campus so and will be a wonderful resource for students and scholars. All of that, too, is moving forward right here at UMass Boston. And that's why I am always so delighted to be on this campus, because UMass Boston's success gives us all hope for the future. It shows us that we can be a pluralistic society that moves forward together, that creates economic opportunity, that produces the social justice that we desire, that realizes the promise of a better day. As many of you know, this is my last UMass Boston convocation as your president. Having served as president of the University of Massachusetts for more than 7 years, I have decided to step down next June after 8 years as president. And during these years working together, we have been able together to accomplish some great things. We've seen more and more students apply to and enroll at the University of Massachusetts. And as we've heard, we've seen faculty research funding and intellectual property income rise to record levels. We've seen financial aid funding soar, and by the way, it needed to soar. That is how we can preserve access for our students at a time when, unfortunately, the state and many states around the nation have stepped back from their funding of public higher education. And we've had to step forward with financial aid to protect the students. But at the same time, we've begun a process of building and refurbishing our facilities. We've added a public law school to our university system. We've won a Nobel Prize, and the list goes on. In short, we've done many of the things that the students and the citizens of Massachusetts have wanted us to do. And all across the Commonwealth, people are proud of UMass Boston and proud of the UMass system. And one of the things that I love most about being president is that there's never a day that passes without someone coming up to me telling me how much this university did for them and for someone that they know and love. Hearing stories about how it changed their lives and often how their lives have changed the world. The University of Massachusetts shapes lives. It changes lives. That's who we are and what we do, and we do it together. And by the way, one of the things that I'm most proud of during my almost 8 years tenure as president was the appointment of the next speaker as your chancellor. You know how much he means to this campus. He speaks of UMass Boston as being a research university with a teaching soul. And you know what? He's a chancellor with a student, a faculty, and a staff soul. And he's a chancellor that cares about every one of you. He's a chancellor with a campus and a community soul because he cares so much about what happens here and what happens beyond the borders of this beautiful and vital campus. As I mentioned, this is my last convocation as your president, but wherever the road takes me, it'll always bring me back to UMass Boston to be energized and inspired. But it's now my privilege and honor to introduce my dear friend and your great chancellor, Chancellor Dr. J. Keith Motley.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. You know, they said you wouldn't get up on a Monday morning and be out here in the numbers that you are. Before I start, though, I saw a young man who struggled to be here this morning. He was stuck in traffic, but he's our student government president. Come on up here, Neil, get up here. He needs a hug, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a hug this morning. Thanks for being here, man. I really appreciate it. I know what it's like to try to be somewhere on time early on Monday morning and all kinds of things happen and you're hustling down the expressway and bam, you're stuck in a traffic jam. But don't let that traffic jam mess up the rest of your day. It's a great day here at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. Thank you, President Wilson. Know that you're welcomed here on this campus over and over and over again. President doesn't have to be in front of your title for you to be a part of what we do here. And so we're so grateful for your support, so grateful that you're here. Members of the Board of Trustees, here or not here, we're so grateful for all of your support. Distinguished guests, Chancellor Emeritus Sherry Penny, who's sitting prominently smiling at the front, someone who I've known all of my career in higher ed. Thank you for being here this morning. Thanks, Winston, Ellen. Thank you, Neil, for being here. Samir, thank you. Stasha, thank you for your presentation. Thank you also to Roger Ferguson from TIAA Craft. I wanted to see you. Every month, I haven't been looking for a while, Then I heard I could just talk to the man. So I'm so glad that you're here on campus today, man. And we look forward to your address. We look forward to your address. And at the same time, we're going to get your address. I also want to thank my beautiful wife, Angela. I know I say that all the time, but beautiful inside and outside. Thanks for your support and for being here today and for allowing me to serve this community. We know we have a lot to be grateful for. Yeah, give her a round of applause. I was trying to move on before those tears started coming down my eyes. So thank you for that moment, those applause and all that. We have much to be grateful for here at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. Yes, the second year of a great recession has not been much easier than the first. Like other educational institutions, we're dealing with fiscal challenges, and we have faced very, very, very difficult decisions. But with the help of everyone here in this room, we'll do more than pull through. Together, we will flourish. We often speak of our university as a community. At its core lies a solid structure built brick by brick and block by block over the past half-century by generations of dedicated faculty, staff, and students. These human building blocks are integral to the architecture of this university. Together, our community members care for each other and for the world. They strive for excellence to lift up not only themselves, but everyone around them. As part of our convocation tradition, I'd like to acknowledge those community members whose accomplishments deserve special recognition today. Alex Kantav is the Associate Director of the William Trotter Institute for the Study of Black Culture. After January's devastating earthquake in Haiti, Alex worked with an international community to deliver aid and plan for the future. Now, he's helping to lead the effort to rebuild Haiti's higher education system. I want to thank him, Alex, for his important work. Today, we also welcome 32 new members of the faculty. New faculty, please rise together so we can formally greet you. I'm glad to see you were here because the provost told me that they didn't force everyone to be in those 8 o'clock classes. So I'm glad that you were able to show up and be here for this event today. This is a special time for this university. We're also proud to acknowledge the achievements of Stephanie Hartwell in sociology, Alfred Noel in mathematics, Kenneth Rothwell in classics, and Miriam Uarte in human services, each of whom is promoted to the highest academic rank of full professor here at the university. Stand up so we can see you. Stand on up. Yes. Yes. We're just warming up. And at Convocation, we also recognize the winner of the John W. Ryan Award for the University of Massachusetts, Boston, Junior, with the highest grade point average. This year's recipient is Kyle Clark, an anthropology and philosophy major with a perfect 4.0 grade point average. Keep on standing, man. We want to look at you. I want him to stand because I might add that he's a typical product of my town of Stoughton that I happen to live in. Cal also has his parents with him today. You all stand up. I know it's a proud family. We also want to recognize the excellence of our staff. Charles King of the Biology Department and Assistant Dean, yes, Assistant Dean, Roseanne Donahue of the College of Liberal Arts. Would you please rise and receive recognition as recipients of the 2010 Chancellor's Achievement Award. I know Roseanne's supposed to be retired and all that, but we wanted to mention her anyway. There are two more outstanding staff members here today who helped make the past year unforgettable for our student athletes. Thank you to the women's volleyball team and Coach Terry Condon. Stand up. And also the men's baseball team and Coach Brendan Igerbrook for leading our teams. They led our teams to record-shattering performances this year, inside and outside the classroom, and I'm so proud of that. Today, however, I'd also like to recognize a gentleman who helps fend off chaos and maintain order throughout the university, and I must add, Mr. Kenneth Herbert, that you're looking so wonderful today. Stand up from our custodial staff here at the university. Mr. Herbert, thank you. Mr. Herbert is always the first one here in the morning, and he goes about his work in such a dedicated and precise manner. Everything is in place when he's done. I like to use him as an object lesson for staff. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your contribution to this university and for understanding that you are a chancellor no matter where you are in this community. Thank you. But all of you here today are to be commended for your willingness to accept the challenges we face with creativity and with courage. You are the foundation of our ability to move forward the fulfillment of our strategic goals. Just consider, we've seen a 26% growth in enrollment over the past 5 years. Last year, we were so close to 15,000 students that we sort of rounded up and we said that we had them already. This year, we're over 15,000 students, and these are quality students who have a grade point average of 3.0. Our honors program grew to nearly 300 students. Freshman retention has climbed to 77%, and our commitment to financial aid is up over 100% over the past 5 years. Our students, I love to brag about them. They hail from 139 countries and speak more than 90 languages. 45% of undergraduates and 21% of graduate students are people of color. Our campus community looks more like Boston, more like the world than any other university in New England. That's not brag, that's fact. You don't have to have experiments. You can just come here and see what it's like in the future. Live it now like we live it every day here on this campus. Faculty research funding is up 18% over last year, reaching $50 million. We're moving forward on our 25-year master plan, from drawings on paper to concrete and steel and bricks and mortar, and I am so happy. The Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the United States Senate will break ground this fall. Next spring, we're going to put shovels into the ground to start building our integrated sciences complex. And just last month, we completed programming, as Ellen said, for the study of our new general academic building. Be prepared, as was said, to get some mud on your shoes. I'm going to be happy about that mud. Don't complain to me. I hope your shoes get jacked up. I also hope that your ears hurt from the constant music of pile drivers, because that means that our future will be in good stead. And be prepared. You need to be prepared to help us start planning another chapter of this university's future this fall, when we begin envisioning the possibilities of the former Bayside Expo Center, which is now part of this great campus. So get ready. As we build our physical infrastructure, we continue to build our human connections and our reputation through the work of our colleges and our institutes. Reflecting the increasing breadth of the university's academic programming, we created an 8th college, University College, which will incorporate our division of corporate, continuing, and distance education. We have also renamed the Graduate College of Education. It is now the College of Education and Human Development to reflect better its present and future goals. Our new Collaborative Institute for Oceans, Climate, and Security in the McCormick Graduate School will affect policy and management changes in this important emerging field. The College of Management's new Entrepreneurship Center, in partnership with our Venture Development Center, will enable our students to study, practice, and live in a startup environment before they graduate. Our new Center for Portuguese Language will strengthen our connections with Lusophone communities, and the new Center for Sustainable Enterprise and Regional Competitiveness will provide our students with the knowledge and skills to compete and lead. You heard me. Compete and lead in green industries. Truly, we have an impressive community. The building materials that we use to renew our campus are also a metaphor for the foundational work that faculty and staff do with our students every day, grounding them in the basics, strengthening their ability to soar skyward, building their capacity for engaged and productive lives in the community. Several elements of this distinctive human architecture were honored this past year. The University of Massachusetts Boston has been named something we already knew, one of the best in the Northeast by the Princeton Review, based on our excellent academic programs and student surveys. Students praised how much we care about them. One wrote that professors, quote, will blow your mind with their intensity, passion, and commitment to your success. Such remarks hearten me, make me feel tingly, because they show we're right on track with our objective to be a research university with a teaching soul. But how does all this translate practically, and why are we so privileged to play a part in this work? The clip I'm about to show might answer those questions. In it, you'll hear from one of our alumni, a former thoroughbred jockey whose dream was derailed in a racing accident, Trevor Morin. Trevor was chosen to be commencement speaker at the class of 2010 at the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences at the University of Massachusetts Medical School in Worcester, where he received his PhD.
In a split second, it was all over. A green 2-year-old I was riding threw me hard into the rail. I shattered both wrists on the way down and knew my comeback was over before I hit the racetrack. My interest in school had waned so much, Shepherd College asked me not to return. And feeling washed up and worthless, I entered a deep, dark depression, so black and so ugly that most people, unless you've been there, are incapable of comprehending it. Like many depressed individuals, I turned to drugs and alcohol to cure the pain. I lost the respect of my family and friends, thankfully, not their love and support. I was sickened by my own reflection. My passion for life was gone. After failing rehabs, I finally reached bottom. And after being there, I realized I had another battle. The battle to regain the respect and admiration of everybody that I hurt the most. I got off drugs, and I entered UMass Boston. At UMass Boston, I met Esther, a once homeless alcoholic, now Johns Hopkins Medical School graduate and John F. Kennedy Award winner. I met Annika, who also had past demons, now oral surgeon at UPenn. I met Tunde. His postdoctoral lab at Harvard is a long way from the corner where he was selling drugs. UMass Boston professors put passion back into my life, a passion for science, a passion for the truth. And it was at UMass Boston that my academics flourished, my drug dependencies diminished, and UMB unlocked potential that I didn't know I had inside.
This year, the University of Massachusetts system received approval from the State Board of Higher Education to open the Commonwealth's first public law school, the University of Massachusetts Law School, on the campus in Dartmouth. In coming years, we expect to see some future alums of our university selected as class speakers at the law school's commencement, just as they were selected at the medical school. However, the University of Massachusetts Boston is one of the best in the Northeast, not just because Princeton Review said so, but because those students who may have been counted out in the past have found in our faculty, our staff, our students a hand up, inspiration, and direction. They have found pathways to PhDs and postdocs, medical school, law school, and in our own superb graduate programs, pathways to passion and achievement in the world of work and in service. As I shared with you in the State of the University address in the spring, the University of Massachusetts Boston is and will remain a pathway to excellence. Now, as we stand poised for the new academic year, let's have a round of applause for all of you who day in and day out are invested in our community and keep us growing, expanding, and connecting. Give yourselves a round of applause. I hope that you know that thanks to you, we have material strength, powerful mass, and we also have inescapable momentum. Now, when I first became chancellor, I promised that I would dedicate myself to the development of the University of Massachusetts Boston as a student-centered, urban, public research university. I know some of you all tease about that. I hear about what you say about me behind my back. Here we go again, student-centered, urban, public research university. But that's what we're pledged to do. We have been reflecting on just what that means at every convocation. Together, these elements are what make our beloved institution so remarkable. They give us our competitive advantage locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. So far, we've analyzed the concepts of student-centered. Then we went to urban, and we went to public. And some of you asked me, what are you going to talk about today, Chancellor? Well, today, I want to highlight some essential elements that are defining of research, which we should keep in mind when we reflect on our identity. Research is the core of what we do here. It is the path to understanding the essence of our disciplines. And research, for all of us, can be an approach to life. Research commits us to the foremost frontiers of the leading theoretical and applied sciences. Indeed, our significant achievements from green chemistry to neuroscience, from studies of semiotics to anthropology and exercise science, all have built our reputation as a growing major research university. The term research isn't difficult to deal with if one begins with an understanding that the history of human evolution is intertwined with people's efforts to find meaning in their lives, experience, environment, and relationship with the universe. The young child who lovingly batters a toy again and again, tastes it, chews it, flings it gleefully, is doing some basic research. Perhaps to gain a sense of control. Perhaps to see how something works, or to test the tensor limits of the object itself. Similarly, our ancestors, centuries ago, were engaging in research with their incremental stop and start efforts to control water, soil, and vegetation and ensure production of food and safe habitation. Even now, when we surf the internet for facts, we're engaging in research that imparts meaning to life, even if only to settle disputes on trivia or to find out what's going on with some of our latest and greatest folk who happen to live in Hollywood, etc. We're doing research. The concept research has undergone and will continue to undergo major changes and refinements, especially as people go about finding new ways of dealing with human experiences across what we label disciplines. Unlike a child pummeling a toy, academic research is a scholarly process that involves both thoughtful design and also method. It is an organized and systematic way of finding answers to questions. It has everything to do with how we live our lives, deal with challenges, relate to each other, and what values we embrace. Whether we're in chemistry or communications, statistics or sociology, English or environmental sciences, mathematics or music, everyone at this university is affected by our involvement in and commitment to research. The reason for research are compelling. Nearly 4 centuries ago, Sir Francis Bacon reminded us that absent a systematic testing of our intuitions, preferences, and beliefs, that which we are sure is may very well not be. Consider how human beings knew with absolute certainty that the sun revolves around the earth until, of course, they discovered it didn't. At the same time, Bacon famously cautioned us to avoid corrupting pitfalls he called idols. He warned us about human beings who egocentrically, often with elaborate cultural justifications, place themselves and their immediate concerns at the center of everything and conclude that everything and everyone else must serve them. It's this pernicious fixation that is self-indulgently despoiling our planet, with little regard for our grandchildren. So too, it's this spirit that has been at the core of messianic crusades and other race and ethno-religious driven atrocities throughout our history. Sometimes we assume that things must be right, valid and true, just because they emanate from an actual or supposed authority, such as government officials, leading textbooks, or learned professors, whose words should not be challenged. Just because you read something in the New York Times does not automatically mean it's true or irrefutable. Research is both a method of and attitude toward inquiry. It is rooted in the view that all understandings are just holding places to be subjected to more exacting analysis. And we must always remember that research is linked to many of our dearly held values, and those values are pervasive. Method in modern research begins with a question, a problem, or a goal that must be clearly defined and systematically pursued. Large questions are then narrowed and focused as designs are shaped, phenomena observed, data analyzed, and conclusions reached. And the generalizations of those very conclusions lead to still other questions. Answers themselves are meaningless and irrelevant if they are not linked to specific and, it is to be hoped, useful and important questions. One step in defining the goal is to conduct a thorough review of the literature, which is a careful look at past research thinking and practice. Theoretical and conceptual frameworks must be canvassed. The encountered difficulties must be acknowledged. What are the questions that have been raised and perhaps only partially answered or not answered at all? What are the strengths or weaknesses in the approaches embraced, the questions asked or insight offered? What may have been overlooked? This is nothing less than an ongoing debate between the current researcher and all those who came before. It is part of a broader, systematic accumulation of knowledge. A careful review helps to frame and refine further the question to be answered. In most cases, it will help lead to what if or I bet statement, that is, the hypothesis, from which an answer to the question might best be gained. If conceptualizing the problem and articulating the research question are the first step, then more clearly defining it as a working hypothesis takes us to the second step, a research design. This organic linkage, even in the cases of possible radical departures, offers a greater sense of continuity. All important research builds on, refines, or even refutes the research of others. From the discovery of the X-ray to the invention of television, inventions are seldom eureka moments. More often, they involve painstakingly building on the work of others. The organic linkage I mentioned has to do with fit. The research design must fit the hypothesis. So, for example, if one were to hypothesize that students attending the University of Massachusetts, Boston perform significantly better academically if they work in an outside job 15 or fewer hours per week than those who work more or do not work at all while attending classes, there would have to be a research design that at a minimum provides for the control of all the factors, all the relevant variables that could affect the results of the study. So factors such as commuting time, the demands of the curriculum, eating habits, the nature of work performed, condition of students, health, age, experience, work done at home, etc., must be considered. The research design must appeal to the value of inclusive inquiry. This means it must be one that is replicable should others seek to test or augment the validity of the findings or other claims that may be associated with the hypothesis. Few areas of research are as demanding and as fulfilling as preparing research designs. They appeal to our imagination and bring to the enterprise an excitement that is rarely surpassed, except for certain results that may ensue from the design's successful implementation. Researchers feel a palpable joy when they find it difficult to remove themselves from the research. This is the time when you see your colleagues and they start neglecting their friends and even forget about eating and sometimes bathing. Thomas Edison himself said that his greatest pleasure, and hence his reward, was in the work that precedes what the world calls success. This excitement is part of what I believe must emerge as a defining attribute of the University of Massachusetts, Boston. As an inquisitive undergraduate tackles important questions, gathers and interprets data to address those questions, and finds responses to specific predictions and other questions that allow for increasingly exact duplications and verifications by independent researchers here and elsewhere. This emphasis on replicability, like the repetitions found in all of nature, helps establish assumptions in human knowledge so that they can be further built upon and questioned. It is a form of empathy and kinship we establish with researchers to come, a kind of intellectual solidarity in the pursuit of knowledge, wherever researchers happen to be, temporally, geographically, or culturally. This brings us to the final attribute of research design, that of generalizability. That is to say, the findings of the researcher, the proof of the hypothesis must not only be duplicable, but also be capable of transcending the particulars that give birth to its claim. Remember the research design example concerning University of Massachusetts Boston students and the numbers of outside hours worked? The results from the hypothesis would have to be universalized to all students. We want to know what extent the work study results of our students may be applicable to students in Liverpool or New Delhi. We also remember that disproving a hypothesis is, in some respects, as important as confirming the proof. The proof, disproof, or disaffirmation must be able to be universalized. Research is an important part of the meaning of university, a concept that we will explore together in time to come. Indeed, research is part of the very definition of a modern university. And as I said before, research is an approach to life. There's another aspect of research I must address, that is the philosophical orientation of our sciences, physical, social, and human. Physical sciences and mathematics are governed by an orientation called positivism, which sees reality as objective, out there, as they say, to be discovered by research, universal in reach and in meaning. A second orientation called neo-positivism says, yes, reality is objective, but sometimes it can't be captured until human beings interactively deliberate and define it. Then there is the constructivist outlook, found primarily in the social and human sciences, which argues that all reality is affected by human perception and is culturally influenced, and so may never, if ever, be universally understood and agreed upon. At the University of Massachusetts, Boston, we also want to encourage and embrace research on a plane apart from these approaches, and to do it without aggravating traditional differences between those in the College of Science and Mathematics, those in the humanities, and the group in between, namely the social sciences, each of which often thinks it is operating in a single, isolated universe. Too often, academic protagonists fight border wars or squabble about disciplinary boundaries. The debates sometimes remind me of the Tower of Babel, where the inability to share, the unwillingness to develop a common language and work cooperatively not only impeded the larger effort, but was the root cause of ultimate failure. Researchers in science and math, the so-called positivists, must be able to speak the language of the constructivists, and the humanities and social sciences, and the constructivists must be able to use the language of the positivists. We at this university are pledged to the cultivation of interdisciplinarity, where it is possible and where it is practicable. We want to encourage innovation, creativity, and new dimensions of teamwork. We believe that the jargon and distinct research methods of specific disciplines are not insurmountable impediments. We believe that new avenues of communication, collaboration, and cross-pollination can yield positive results for both participants and external beneficiaries. This is what neuroscience, the life sciences, and quantum physics require of us. Furthermore, we want to be identified as a leader in transdisciplinarity, which views reality as something that exists on many levels and can help us deal with the dynamics of several levels of reality at once. We want to encourage the design of comprehensive frameworks that transcend the confines of both disciplinary and interdisciplinary research. We want to encourage you, our faculty, and our students to look for connections that others fail to see. We want to encourage you to find bridges between and among disciplines, bridges through which the language of one discipline is translated into the language of another. We want to encourage you to remove or leap the boundaries that have limited human beings from adequately addressing problems that do not themselves recognize disciplinary boundaries. Dealing with the long-term cleanup of the recent BP oil disaster, for example, and taking steps to prevent another such event cries out for this university and for transdisciplinary approaches and solutions. All research is a process of fermentation, the eclectic excitement of ideas. Research doesn't have to mean taking sides, but it does entail a willingness to take risks, even making oneself vulnerable. Everything one has been teaching may be proven wrong, and what students are learning may be upended. Accordingly, some of us, including our professors, must be willing to step down from the podium and become co-learners. This is central to the spirit of inquiry in a student-centered university. Research is an opportunity to look at what's important. It's not just about what we commonly call success. Even when an end proves illusory, it is important. To discover what doesn't work is still significant. Edison himself, again, famously said, "I have not failed, I have just found 10,000 ways that don't work." It's useful to remember the story of Srinivasa Ramanujan, the impoverished Hindu clerk in self-taught natural mathematical genius. The man who knew infinity and surprised the world with his path-breaking insights and achievements. His theories were first dismissed as the work of a religious nut. Abilities, even genius, often come in different packages, shapes, and sizes, and from unexpected places. We don't know which bright undergraduate, graduate student, or faculty member is going to create a research design that will spark a revolution, finding answers to long unanswered questions. What we do know is that there isn't a problem that over time creativity cannot address. We want to, we need to, we must develop both students and faculty who can be or can cultivate those creative problem solvers. We can best do this if we are not locked into our disciplinary silos, if we're not afraid to take risks, if we're not afraid to fail. I reviewed these aspects of research not just because I felt it would be new for many of you, but because I wanted to say a number of other things about research and why it's so important for a great university. First, research develops or elicits certain cognitive qualities that all great universities should be associated with in their efforts to advance the development of students, professors, and societies. These include the ability to identify underlying assumptions, to clarify issues and conclusions, to substitute or transfer to new contexts within which insights can be tested, to refine generalizations, to recognize connections, similarities, and patterns, be they affirming or contradictory, to distinguish the relative accuracy and persuasiveness of data, to develop criteria for the evaluation of evidence, to listen critically, even dialogically, comparing arguments, insights, and perspectives, to draw precise inferences, and to assess the relevance and significance of findings. Second, research promotes certain affective attributes in individuals and groups. It promotes patience that comes from the need to suspend judgment. It promotes independent thinking, intellectual courage, effective communication, perseverance, confidence and reason based on evidence, and trust in teamwork, even when one excels in individual effort. Among the important human values that stem from research are humility, audacity, and integrity. Humility stems from the ability to see several sides to an issue. It comes from having to accept that one may know little, if anything at all, about an issue. It makes us better citizens and more critical thinkers. It helps us better understand what it means to be human. Audacity encourages us to think big and differently. It stirs us to ask why not, as well as to question why. Integrity includes both the soundness of the work and the ethical fiber of the researcher. This means constructing our conduct from the place in us that has and pursues the greatest truth. As societies seek help with myriad challenges, educational institutions, especially research universities, are called on to lead. Today, we need thinking that will offer us alternative futures, thinking that will not be an extension of the status quo mindsets that, for example, have given us unbridled passion for fossil fuels, a folly that has mightily contributed to global warming. We must move beyond mindsets that accept as inevitable international conflicts, religious intolerance, freeboot economic selfishness, and zero-sum I win, you lose orientation. Research as an approach to life reminds us that we need the values of openness and a commitment to evidence-based outcomes. We need the courage to withstand reversals and the patience to suspend judgment. We need the integrity to follow the verifiable evidence and the humility to accept individual and collective limitations. We need the audacity and the imaginative richness to inquire into nature and meaning of things. We do not have long lead time to address some of our urgent challenges, such as climate change or the prejudice that inform our behavior. Note the threatened burning of the Quran. So we must act now. The foundation for our action is to be what research universities should always be: centers that lead in the pursuit of truth. This morally is the ultimate goal. Let us pledge ourselves to this goal and to do our best this academic year to exceed even our highest expectations. Now is the time. You are the people. This is the university. We will rise to the challenges and we will do it together. We are the University of Massachusetts, Boston, and I am so honored to serve you as your Chancellor. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.